I've done a number of remodels on old houses, and almost invariably there is pretty shitty texture throughout. Sometimes there's wallpaper that has been painted over. And this is what can happen if you have wallpaper that hasn't been properly prepped prior to painting or texturing. And sometimes there's just big cracks in the walls, or holes in the plaster, or large patches. Over a number of projects, we've refined a technique that allows you to skim and texture in one step versus skimming, sanding, then texturing. This is similar to skip trowel texture, but it's more variable, and it has the appearance of an elegant yet subtle plaster finish. The beauty of this is that anybody can do it with just a little practice honing your preferred style. Later in the video, we'll show you some of the other projects we've worked on, including texturing my basement walls in the Big Dig. So we start with just some regular drywall mud, put it in a 5-gallon bucket, and mix it up with just a little bit of water until it gets buttery. And then we stick it in the tray, and so you just lay it on the wall. You just kind of get a little area done, and then you're gonna just hold that blade pretty flat. Happy little blade. I like to try to just get it so it's very subtle. With thicker texture below it, you may need to be less subtle. But the subtler it is, the better, in my opinion. It just looks, it looks more elegant that way. Sometimes if there's a little booger on the wall, it'll get what we call lump bumps. So to get rid of those, you can just make it a little thicker and just be kind of deliberate as you pull it across. If you do want just a little bit of knockdown, some raised ridges, you can add a little bit of butter to it and just lay it off. Just play around with it, because you might have different techniques that create different little effects. But for corners, you can use a corner trowel and then lay it off with a knife. For big patches, you may want to put a patch of drywall in first. In this case, I use several coats of mud, which cracks in between coats. But again, with this technique and a little bit of sanding, you can get this to look pretty darn good in the end. For smaller, shallower patches like this, you can generally finish the whole thing in one skim coat. To see the entire Atwood remodel, click the button above. Sometimes I'll use a concrete trowel to do the final skim. In the big dig, basement dig out, I even use this technique on the primed concrete walls. It's really kind of satisfying. It's a bit of instant gratification. Make you famous again.